Welcome back to the Urban Action Showcase and Expo virtual experience. I'm your host, founder, and executive producer, Demetrius Angelo. And as promised, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of Operation Condor with none other than Grandmaster Sifu Vincent Lyn. Sir, welcome to the broadcast. We really appreciate you joining us this evening.
No, welcome. Thank you so much, for this last minute intervention here. So much appreciated to see you again.
Well, you're a busy man. You know, there's a song that says, "I've been around the world and I." You stay around the world and I. So, as I mentioned, when we celebrated the 25th anniversary, you're the one that gave me the actual Blu-ray.
That's correct.
So, yeah. I didn't have the source anymore, so I couldn't, screen the film because I wanted to do a watch party, but you were gone.
You're right.
And only a few people, like he a secret agent. Only a few people know how to find them.
Obviously, since that Blu-ray, the company in the UK, 88 Films, that is basically remastering on 4K with these beautiful box sets and all these added interviews and so forth. They're redoing all these films from the golden age. They redid Operation Condor. That was, I think, released just about a year ago. So I did an interview for that. So it has this like 20-page booklet. In fact, I just finished doing one earlier this year, Robotrics, that just came out last month. And I just did the interviews for Tiger Cage. So, so they're re-releasing all these films. It's really quite amazing.
Well, we need that because this is our history. And I'm glad that someone is stepping up to preserve it.
That is true.
Because that didn't happen for a lot of those films back in the day, the Shaw Brothers era, that we've lost because there was no one there to really preserve that history.
And plus, as you say, to preserve it, but they're kind of going above and beyond the just the quality, doing it in 4K, this whole remastering and all this added, all the added interviews and things. And for for Tiger Cage, that was obviously, directed by Yuen Wo Ping. And of course, a very young Donnie Yen was in it, a very young me, along with everybody else. I actually spoke with one of the owners, was it today or yesterday? Because I actually have 6 minutes of footage, of behind the scenes footage of the final fight scene I have. And it's never been shown ever. No one has ever seen it. So I have this footage that was taken. And of course, they want to include it when they release Tiger Cage, early next year. So they're going above and beyond the quality, and that's a great thing because it will be preserved forever. Yeah.
Well, I think that as technology advances, you have to continue to advance these IPs to the next level. Mm-hmm. Remember we had for those who were fortunate enough, they had the 16 millimeter, the 35 millimeter, and then we went to the VHS. Oh no! Before that, we had
Betamax.
The Betamax, and before that, we had those laser discs. And,
and then in the Hong Kong VCDs.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So it's important for us to keep bringing each level of advancement, for this content. So before I really get into Operation Condor, I want you to give us just a look. Let me give the fans first a little taste of who you are. Got a little tribute video that you might be familiar with.
Vincent Lyn, a martial artist, musician, actor, and model. martial artist, musician,
Oh boy.
actor, and model.
I think you're playing it again. Don't do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. An elaborate career in the industry. But let's talk about the actual foundation, which is martial arts. So let's talk about your style of martial arts, where you inherited it from, and how it all began with you.
Well, my father is Chinese. My mother is British. So, of course, on my mother's side, I inherited the music side of my passion. But of course, on my father's side, we can date our family's history and style back to the beginning of the Ming Dynasty, which is 1368. So, as you know, like in many family Kung Fu styles, the style is named after our family surname, which is Chinese family surname is Ling, Ling. So, like the more well-known and more famous family Kung Fu styles, like, you know, Hangar, of course, Choi Ga, Li Ga, you know, our family style is Ling Ga. And of course, Ga means family. And predominantly, it's a southern system of Kung Fu. Many of its, in fact, Wing Chun has a lot of its traditional roots from my family's system. And actually, the historian and Kung Fu Sifu Lyn wrote a number of books on the history of my family style, which is actually called the Wanderer style. Our family were known for being very nomadic, and, you know, would never stay in one place. Every kind of season of the year, they would move from one area of southern China to another. So this style, like many family styles, was passed down from, you know, from grandfather to father to son. But in my past few generations, it was actually my father's brother, his older brother, Apak, who I actually traditionally studied with. So, yeah, you know, it's been passed down, and I'm very fortunate to continue even now teaching it to students who I've had for goodness decades. So that is the foundation of my family system.
Wonderful. Well, wonderful. So when you talk about it dating back, you know, that far back, is it that's where it initiated? Does it initiate from any other styles? Because
No.
I see a lot of internal aspects to it. So what's really the foundation of it?
Well, dating it back that far, which is, you know, some 700 and more than 700 years, like so many systems, you know, many things get changed over time from generation to generation, from teacher to teacher. Certain, I guess, subtleties get changed, you know, depending on who's teaching it and depending on how one learns it. But we know historically that it actually started in the northern China, and in northern China, the geography of the country being very open space. So I'm assuming at that point that the style was probably very much different than it was many generations later, because it came obviously to southern China, and many going back 3, 4, 5 generations from my family, like my father and my uncle and his uncles were all very kind of, I would say, short and stocky, which is predominantly, you know, a person of that physicality would practice a southern style. So you know, me being and my brother being 6'2", you know, to practice a southern style would not be probably the most advantageous thing, you know, with my long legs. But I think it's important to keep tradition, and so even for me, of course, I've had to adapt certain things that kind of don't make much sense for my kind of physicality. So, you know, I think styles, you have to adapt styles over many generations. So, but we know it was, we know it came from the north, and we know it over generations. It ended up in southern China. So even today, I have family that are still from southern China, from Guangzhou, from Shenzhen, and of course in Hong Kong as well.
Beautiful. Now, give us the journey to
Oh boy,
the journey to films. How did you get there? And then finally, how did you get on Operation Condor, fighting Jackie Chan?
the journey. The journey started. Oh my goodness, I would say as early as late 1987. I was actually modeling at the time, and the photographer who I knew well was from New York City, a Chinese photographer. And he always, every time I would go and have a photo shoot, he would say, have you ever thought about going to Hong Kong to do film? And I said, yeah, hasn't every, young martial artist wanted to do that? And he said, well, you should go, they're making all these films and you've got the right look and with martial arts and all that stuff and, modeling and so forth. So he had a friend who was an art director, and he put me in touch with him, and but it meant me, getting on the plane, paying for my own ticket, going to Hong Kong and meeting this gentleman. And so I flew to Hong Kong. I met him in the coffee shop of the Sheraton Hotel, right in Tsim Sha Tsui. And most of all these meetings are conducted in coffee shops, and he looked through my portfolio and he put me in touch with 4 film companies. So I met Raymond Chow at Golden Harvest. I went to Sammo Hung's company, also Cinema City, which was a relatively new company at the time, and D&B, which was really new, which was owned by the entrepreneur Dixon Poon, who married Michelle Yeoh. And I met with Yuen Wo-ping. I was in this tiny cubicle of an office. It was a big desk. He was sitting behind it, and the producer Fish Fong, who I'm still very close and friends with today, he asked me to do some forms and kicks, and I had no room. I had 3 feet of space to throw a few things, and they were already in production of Tiger Cage, and Tiger Cage was Yuen Wo-ping's comeback film, and he had basically all the new Hong Kong stars in it and many stars from Shaw Brothers days, like Wong Lung-wai and of course Beardy and so forth. So they were already in production. And they already had the lead kind of mafia boss who was actually the woman who was in it. And they switched the roles, and she kind of played my sidekick, my girlfriend, what have you. And so I ended up getting playing the lead villain in Tiger Cage. And of course, a very young, Donnie Yen as well. And of course, Yuen Wo-ping was grooming his career. And so Tiger Cage was the first, and 19 films later, 5 years later, was, getting the role of playing the lead villain in Operation Condor. And that kind of happened in a very kind of a roundabout way. When they first cast Operation Condor, they basically cast every Westerner, or Guai-lo as they call them in Cantonese, in Hong Kong at the time. So Hong Kong was already, and I didn't get it originally chosen. I was already shooting 2 other films at the time. And they were in production 6 months already when they realized that they needed to recast, because they needed to kind of amp up this, ending fight scene. So I came back 6 months later, and for another supposedly full round of 12 hours of auditioning. And I went in the office, and I said, I'm not jumping through hoops again. I've worked with the Jackie Chan stunt team numerous films. I said, So you either want me to be in it or not. And so yeah, that's how it all began.
So you're saying that this particular film, there was a delay?
No, there was no delay.
Okay.
They auditioned many Western actors, and they started production.
Mhm.
And they were already in production 6 months when I re-auditioned basically for the film. And then, I was brought in. They wanted another Westerner because if you know, in the fight scene, the wind tunnel fight scene, there's another person fighting with me, right?
Mhm.
And they wanted another Western actor, but of course they couldn't find anybody. They tried, I think they auditioned dozens. And so, of course, as always, they ended up using Jackie's bodyguard, Kenny Lowe. And, they dyed his hair to make him kind of look more Western. So, that was done. And Kenny was in many of Jackie's films, of course. So I didn't start filming until like 6 months later. Yeah. But, there was, of course, they called Operation Condor, Jackie Chan's Apocalypse Now. There were so many issues and problems with filming. They kind of threw the original script away that was basically written by Aldo Sambrel, the famous Spanish villain actor who played the role in the wheelchair.
Mhm.
And then Jackie, the original director, who was from Taiwan, he had a heart attack in the early stages of the film. And so Jackie Chan ended up taking on multiple roles as not only the lead actor and star, but ended up finishing directing it and producing it. And then many times he would end up choreographing, the fight scenes as well. So.
How many locations did you guys shoot in for that?
Well,
film?
let's see. The opening sequence was shot in the Philippines. We shot in Marrakesh in Morocco, in the Sahara Desert in Western Sahara, and then much of it, because there was, again, so many problems, even in Morocco and Marrakesh, because in the desert, it was so hot that the lenses on the 35 millimeter cameras were melting. So all the hotel scenes, all that stuff had to be rebuilt back at Shaw Brothers Studios. So a lot of it, especially the ending and the wind tunnel scene, that was a complete set that I think cost $2 million just to build a set to shoot at Shaw Brothers Studios.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's talk about that famous scene.
Yeah.
That wind tunnel scene. That's the scene that's in his book, correct?
Yeah. As one of his top 10 fight scenes of all time. That's correct.
Yeah. So let's dissect that scene. But before we do, I'm going to show the original trailer. I'm not going to show the Miramax trailer.
Oh, good.
It cuts
Good.
you out.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm like, what y'all doing? And I went through all of Miramax's stuff, and I'm like, what's going on?
It's terrible.
Here?
Well, I can quickly tell you, on the night of the U.S. premiere at the Ziegfeld, that was July '97. We were at the after party at the China Grill, and Jackie was upset. I could use a few other more colorful adjectives, but I won't. But he was upset because he's like, man, they ruined my movie. They cut like 16 minutes out, and he was upset. Yeah. And funnily enough, he was so upset that he didn't want to take a photo with anybody. So I was very fortunate. I believe I was the only person who got 2 photos with him that evening. So yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Don't show the Miramax version, please.
Believe me, I'm not.
An international terrorist organization is about to seize a fortune in stolen gold. In their hands, it would be the ultimate weapon. And the only one that can stop them is a secret agent, codename Condor. But on this mission, Jackie Chan won't be going in alone. Got it up? No. Action takes flight. Jackie Chan in his most dangerous mission ever. Operation Condor.
Wow, you know, I have not seen that original since I saw the premiere in Hong Kong. My goodness, that brings back memories.
Well,
Man.
now we can go into that wind tunnel scene. So let's start from the beginning. I'm going to let you tell the whole thing from the beginning.
Boy, from the beginning.
Yes,
Well, the first thing they needed to do was figure out the makeup. So interestingly, they had said they only needed me for 10 days. So I said, okay, sure. I spent 10 days just in makeup alone. And every day Jackie would come down to the makeup room and he would peer his head around the corner and see how the makeup, and he's like, no good. You got to make him more ugly. He's too good looking to be a villain. This is what he would say. So they would make it, you know, like kind of this Freddy Krueger thing going on, you know, and every day he would come down. He says, no, start again. You know? So after 10 days, they finally got the makeup that he was okay with. And my contract was over. And so, you know, I went up to the producer and I said, my contract's finished. You know, you got to pay me my balance and that's it. He said, well, we got to sign a new contract. I said, well, I tell you what. I said, how about, was done a lot in Hong Kong. I said, just pay me each day I'm here, and whether it's overtime or not. And so every day you pay, at the end of the day, just pay me the daily rate. And so, of course, that's what happened. You know, 6 months later, we're still filming, right? But we got the makeup sorted out. And I remember the first day shooting in the wind tunnel, I'm working with, you know, JC's stunt team, and we're working on the first kind of, you know, choreography. And so, you know, I really wanted to do a good job. So I felt after like 19 or so films, you know, doing Hong Kong action it's going to be easy. Not a breeze, but it's going to be easy. But I was kind of so nervous. And we get this choreography down, and I spent half an hour getting on these like 18 to 20 moves. And Jackie steps in and he says, I don't like it. So I basically wasted half an hour, and then Jackie's making it up on the spot. So I'm kind of working. And so I swear I felt I had like 2 left feet, you know. But a few days in, I started to feel this rhythm working with Jackie, because he really has a certain kind of rhythm to his martial arts skill and especially choreography. So yeah, it took a few days before I kind of, you know, relaxed into knowing what was in front of me. And there was a period there of working and doing the fight scene. I think one period where we went 39 days, because I kept the calendar every day, 39 days straight with not one day off. Yeah, it was, you know, 12, 14-hour days. And it wasn't so much the physical pain of it at the end of the day, but for me, it was how uncomfortable wearing this makeup all day. And basically by the end of the day, you know, I'm pulling this thing off my face, you know, my skin got really gnarly and everything. And of course, you know, next day they got to redo the whole makeup. And it took like 2 to 3 hours every day just to put the makeup on before I would go on the set, you know. Injuries, yeah, there was quite a few. Kenny Lowe got injured when he flew back, and I think he broke some ribs. Of course, for me, the worst injury and most well-known was the one where I skull open as I'm being catapulted through the air, you know, on harnesses. And the stunt team kept saying, you know, tuck your chin down, because when you hit the wooden slat, you know, you're going to crack the back of your head. You're going to hurt your head. So I'm tucking my chin down, and the first few takes, Jackie's saying I'm not moving through the air fast enough. So, you know, what they do is they add a couple of more stuntmen to pull this rope. So eventually, it's like every stuntman is playing tug of war, and I'm being catapulted through the air. And of course, the one time I do it wrong, I completely forget to tuck my chin down, and of course my head cracks this huge slat open, but it also splits the back of my head, and I'm dangling like a marionette, and they pull me to this podium that Jackie's on. He's standing behind one of the cameras, and of course they had 4 cameras at once going, and I'm standing there, and I'm kind of drifting back and forth, and I put my hand on Jackie's shoulder, and he looks at me and he says, "Okay, take a break. We're going to do it again in 15 minutes." And of course, I just collapsed basically, on the podium there. And of course, I took a slight rest, but my head was actually split open. Basically, all we did was put a piece of duct tape on it. Yeah, that's Hong Kong filming for you.
So it's funny that
yeah, but it ain't funny, but anyway.
Well,
yeah,
no, I'm saying he's telling you, okay, I'm sure you're bleeding at this point. So he's like, okay, well, you can take a break now, bleed a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, but hurry up and fix that because we got to do this again.
We got to do it again. I know. Yeah.
But you know what? That's how he lives his life.
Well, yeah. Compared to the amount of injuries, yeah, goodness gracious. Yeah. I got nothing to complain about. Maybe a little brain damage, but yeah.
Absolutely. So now, were you ever in danger of actually hitting those fans?
Oh, no. No, because I didn't go towards the fan. It's actually Kenny Lowe got blown towards the fan, and unfortunately the struts were all steel, of course.
Oh my goodness.
And they weren't padded in any way, and he wasn't padded in any way. And of course, you never know how you're going to land at something, no matter how many times you try. But when you do it at full speed, and of course, he hit those, big iron struts and cracked his rib cage. Yeah. So. Yeah,
and you
the the one scene where the wind blows us from the other direction, so it's as if the fan is operating the other way. So now we're being blown back, and we're holding on to stuff, as we're being catapulted around, right? Well, I'm holding on to that. I guess it's the contraption that has the plane on it. And so I'm holding on, and underneath, what I'm supposed to do is drop. So when the fans or those wooden slats turn the other way, of course, my whole body falls. So they gave me these, under it was a steel grate. So I put, knee pads under and I tell you, they kept saying, no, you need to fall like you really are falling, as if someone's really pushing you over. And I'm like, and I kept holding back because every time I would drop, my knees would hit the damn thing first before the rest of my body. I couldn't even out how much pressure was falling. So even with these damn knee pads on, my knees were killing me because we had to do it like, I don't know how many times, I don't remember, 12, 15 times over and over because they said, no, it's not strong enough. It doesn't look powerful. I'm like, oh my God. So that hurt. My knees were hurting for days.
So basically they built this hangar at Shaw Brothers Studios, right?
Correct.
Now, was it an official hangar that they built or was it just a contraption?
No, they built the entire set. Even with the elevator scene and where all the gold is, all that stuff, and the office above the wind tunnel, everything was built. And I do believe it was like $2 million. Yeah, and that film was supposed to have taken 6 months, so they wanted to release it for Chinese New Year. Now, was it for Christmas? Yeah, we had finished around Christmas. Well, it wasn't finished. Then they wanted to release it for Chinese New Year, which is usually around February. It wasn't finished. And even like Raymond Chow said, you got to finish this movie. And Jackie had asked for an extra $2 million just to do the, the crazy car stunts and the motorcycle, right?
Mhm.
So they had the team, the very famous French team, Remy Julien, who they did a lot of early James Bond stuff. So yeah, they got an extra $2 million to do those car stunts. So yeah, Chinese New Year it wasn't done. They wanted I think it was a summer release. Oh my God! So the film was like over budget, of course. A year over release. I think the movie took more than 18 months to make. Yeah.
Now, do we have a version that he's happy with, or is it just what we see at the Miramax version?
No, there's the original Hong Kong version. And of course, that's the one they just remastered on 4K. So there is an original version. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and
it's beautiful.
Okay, we haven't seen that. No one's seen. So that's what we have to look for. So this is the version.
I have it. They sent me copies of it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is the actual version that he likes.
You can get it from 88 Films now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the version in Miramax, that's the one he was upset about.
Woo, baby. We're all upset about that.
Okay, good. No, I just want to be clear because, I don't want to put my own words into this.
Yeah.
All right. So 88 Films, you guys need to go check that out to get the original version. How Jackie Chan saw, the vision of Operation Condor. And do they call it Operation Condor or do they call it Armor of God?
No. They do. They call it Operation Condor. They don't call it Armor of God 2 or anything. No, it's Operation Condor. Yeah, I wish I had it with me. I left it down in Florida, but yeah. But you can get it. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because you talked about your family being nomadic and you don't sit still.
No.
You just said, well, some people say, oh, but I left it in the other room. No.
Yeah, I left it down in Miami.
I left it in Dubai. Actually, I left it in West Africa.
Well, look, Demetrius, when COVID hit New York bad back in March 2020, I said, oh boy, it was time to go. And I went down, check on my father in Southern Florida. So I was away 3 months. I came back to New York in August of 2020 and realized, okay, this is locked down. And I moved out. And so, I just have moved back into Manhattan this week. Yeah, so it's just me and the Mukjong. That's it.
That's it, man. That's all you need. A floor and your
I'm actually going to look, because when I left New York, I had no idea, and did anybody know how things were going to turn out? We still don't really know.
Exactly.
So I sold everything. I really did. I just took my personal effects down. I even sold my grand piano. So tomorrow I'm going actually to look at pianos because I have a major concert at Carnegie in April. So I've got to get the piano in here. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to use that as a leeway. You just grant another Grammy nomination for your new.
Well, it's a consideration. The nomination actually is for, and actually we're going to find out this week. I think the nomination is for the Hollywood Music Media Awards, but the consideration is for the Grammy Awards in the Best Pop Duo, Best Pop Duo Group. So I can't even remember how to say it, but it's Best Pop Duo anyway. And those announcements come out, I think, on the 23rd of November. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Well, actually, I want to talk about that. The reason why is because what you do is always to benefit someone else. You do a lot of philanthropy, a lot of work. Of course, you have your foundation. So let's talk about why you guys created that song, because it had a great purpose behind it.
Yeah. We wrote. It's funny. Melissa Bailey, who's the singer on Just Imagine, People United. This was nearly going on 5 years. The world was going through, it's always going through something, but there was lots of stuff going on then. And she said, we should write a song about global peace, you know. And as we threw it back and forth, I said, yeah, when you think of really two major songs, at least I do, I think of John Lennon's Imagine. And then, of course, more recent, but still it's like 30 odd years ago, is We Are the World by, Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's a great idea. And I went to the piano, I kind of wrote out some stuff and gave it to her. She came up with some lyric ideas, and then we basically forgot about it, and we kind of shelved it. And during the pandemic, the whole thing came up again. But obviously, now it really is the whole world that's in trouble, And we took it off the shelf. We went over it with a fine-tooth comb again, and I was in Portugal for 2 months and recorded the piano parts and the cello parts. The cellist is plays for the Portuguese Philharmonic. So, and then I wanted to use, this is really for a global piece. And of course, I'm working with and aiding children in Africa. Some of the children that I aid in Uganda have a choir. And so they did their choir parts and recorded them in Uganda. So here Melissa recorded her parts in New York. I recorded the piano parts, cello parts in Portugal. And of course, the choir parts were done in Uganda. And then the whole entire puzzle was pieced and remastered in New York. And we're really, really happy with how it came out. We love the song, and we've gotten so much great feedback. Of course, it's been on the worldwide iTunes charts for 3 months in the top 4 places. So it hit number 3, and it's now at number 4. It's on the bestsellers for Amazon at number 6. And we got the nomination with Hollywood Music Media Awards and a consideration for nomination for the Grammys coming up. So yeah, I mean, we're really, really excited about it. And of course, I had planned to do another concert at Carnegie like this month, but I'm glad I pushed it until April, because there's a lot of restrictions right now in terms of the concert length, time, and all this. So yeah, my next concert at Carnegie, and it has to do with Just Imagine, People United, of course, the release of our song, April 20th, 2022. And of course, Melissa will be there singing and everything. So yeah, so we're really, really thrilled about it. And it's just amazing that everything was done, during the pandemic. Yeah, so, and everybody had to record their parts, wherever they were. So,
well, that's what technology allows these days.
Yeah, it is incredible. It really
So
is
that's
incredible.
wonderful. All right, before we go,
yeah,
your greatest, I should say, your greatest memory or most impactful memory of Operation Condor, outside of getting hurt. Tell us.
Okay. Well, it really, there's so many moments. This could be, a blockbuster 3-hour talk, but, there's been so many moments. But I'll tell you, it was funny. After Condor came out, some years later, I went to visit Jackie, at Golden Harvest. And of course, he had this very private office. And I think in a number of documentaries, they talked about this special office, this private place that Jackie went to. And, I went in and I was like amazed, because all the things that he loves to collect stuff, from Game Boys to all the things that fans have sent him over the years, stuffed animals. I mean, you name it. He's got stuff everywhere. So I'm in there and, I said, how you doing? And I said, it's been quite a few years. I said, what's happening? He says, I'm very angry with you. I said, what did I do? He said, I'm upset with you. I said, what? I said, you're the Taigo. I came to pay my respects, He said, every time I turn on the television, I see you. I said, what do you mean? Of course, by this time, all the films that I had done are now playing on television, right? Because as you know, movies that are in the cinema at this time, then they went to, DVD, and then they went to whatever, and then they're on HBO, and then finally they're on regular television. He says, every time I turn the television, no matter what channel, I see your face. He said, I should be seeing my face. So I always found that great. But I'll tell you something else. When you called me up back in January 2019, because he was, doing his new book, right? At the Barnes and Noble here on, I think in Midtown, right?
Yes. Yep.
That was actually very, very special because, again, I hadn't seen him in many years. And, he, as you know, you were there, he immediately stopped what he was doing and he yelled out, Winston, after all these years and learning English, he still can't pronounce a V. So he screams out, Winston, and hugs me and all this. So that was actually very special. Yeah. Because, he's, one of the biggest international superstars ever. Right. And the, 200 movies he's made, the thousands of people he's met, if not hundreds every day. That he would remember me just like that. And that's very special. It obviously means I don't look any different.
But no, he remembered you because before you got there, I told his manager or whoever she was, I said, listen, I have Vincent Lyn from Operation Condor. Tell him he's here. Okay. No, I didn't tell you that. I said, tell him. Yeah. That's why I waited before I called you because you didn't know the red tape that was going on before.
Oh, I'm sure there was a lot.
So I had to, I got my secret. I know. You already know. So I'm not gonna talk about that part.
We won't even get into that. No, I'm here.
Exactly. So anyway, I said that, and when they relayed the message, they said, okay. As you noticed, that the line was around the corner. As you noticed, we just walked in.
For sure. Oh yeah, the line was ridiculous.
Yeah. So we just walked in because I had already set it up. So that and I just said your name. I didn't show no pictures.
Okay.
I didn't say anything. So he knew by the name alone. Yeah. So that
and
it's
interesting. I sent him an email. I sent Jackie an email today because, you asking me to do this on the 30th anniversary. I said, you know what? I'm back in New York. I got to do this. And I sent him a long email, and more for the fact, because as you know, Jackie's a big humanitarian. He donates half of his wealth to humanitarian things around the world. And of course, I have a nonprofit, We Can Save Children. And, I do a lot of humanitarian things around the world too. So I wanted to relay some ideas, and of course about my new book also that came out earlier this year on Barnes and Noble. So so it's all good.
Well, what's the name of the book, sir?
I'm saying Childhood Lost, and it's about my humanitarian endeavors. Good. Childhood Lost. Yeah.
Now, what is the name of the foundation? I'm putting it in the chat.
WeCanSaveChildren.org. Yeah. And it's a nonprofit.
You guys want to check that out and support. It's about children period around the world, just in Africa.
No, specifically in the Middle East and in Central Africa.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, sir, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you. First of all, I want everybody to know.
Thank you. It was very last minute, but I'm glad,
No, people don't know. Let me give people some history. He's a day one. If people don't know what that means it's slang. So it means he's been supporting us since we launched at HBO back in 2013. This is our 9th year, sir. It's been 9 years.
Damn.
Time is flying. You still look good, though. You still look good.
Thanks. So, you too.
It's the grace of God, But he's been there from day one, supporting me. Anytime I call him, he's there for me. I want to say thank you for supporting our platform and what we stand for. and we need to have more conversations because he's in a comic book. There's so much that he does. But I want to have a reunion in person when things get better with you, Jackie Chan, and Operate and whatever films you guys decide you want to show together. I want to do that for the fans. It's never been done before.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, I think he would be open to that, and I've been speaking to some people, so we're gonna make that happen. But in the meantime, man, I need everybody. Please stay safe. Don't take anything for granted. Wash your hands. Do everything you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because it's real. Real is real. It's not a myth.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of the time, we get vaccinated, and now, of course, in New York, I just heard today that anybody can get the booster, but people still think, that I'm protected, and I can be complacent and just kind of, you still got to be aware and smart.
Yeah. All right, guys. This was the one and only Grandmaster Vincent Lyn.
Thank you.
For the 30th anniversary of Operation Condor. And please check out his organization in the chat, as well as his book that's on sale in Barnes & Nobles right now, barnesandnobles.com. And now, can anybody buy tickets to the concert?
The tickets will go on sale. Actually, they'll go on sale January 20th, 90 days before concert date. So, yeah.
Okay.
Concert is April 20th, 2022, but they will go on sale 3 months prior.
Okay, for the April.
Yeah, that's Carnegie Hall's rules. I got nothing to do with that.
All right. Well, I'm sure people are going to be trying to get them tickets now.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
Tayari Cassell said, you better let me know first because I'm buying the 10 tickets in the front row. I'm like, come on.
He will.
Yeah, I know he will.
That's just it. He will. And I'm sure he's going to do that. So
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I'm sitting right there next to him, which means I'm going to have to save some money. That's what that means.
Yeah. We were all these martial artists at Carnegie Hall. It'll be the safest place in town.
Absolutely. Oh, this is before we go. Anybody that knows Jackie Chan knows that he is a very good singer.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Have you guys ever thought about doing a collaboration? Did he know? First of all, did he know that you were a concert pianist when you were doing any of this?
No, he never did. But the interesting thing is, when I first went to Hong Kong, I was actually writing for Polygram Records because I was writing for local Hong Kong pop, canto pop stars. Yeah, but I don't think he ever knew any of this. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I never brought it up. So there you go.
Listen. If it starts happening, that you heard it here first.
Well, it's funny. I was just reading from someone, Vincent Vlado. I'm just glad he was never in a boy band.
No, that's a guy that comes. He's a funny dude.
Yeah, he is very, very funny. Yeah. I love his stuff on Instagram and stuff. Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, you guys. This was the Urban Action Showcase virtual experience, 30th anniversary celebration panel with Vincent Lyn for Operation Condor. Up tomorrow is Tuesday, 12 noon. We have Lady Sensei continuing the She Reigns panel.
Thank you, Robert.
Series. And
Bobby.
And then, of course, don't forget to check out all the showcase films that are playing. Just go to the screenings tab on the website. All right. So until then, once again, thank you, sir. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you. Peace.
And we'll see you next.